Everyone thinks of Barcelona, Florence, and Rome when booking a Mediterranean cruise, but the real magic happens in the ports you almost skipped. Most Mediterranean itineraries include these major cities, but many of them can be logistically difficult to get to from a cruise terminal, and they require more time than just one day to do it justice. Today I'm going to give you 5 Mediterranean cruise ports that nobody talks about. And if you make sure your next itinerary includes at least a couple of these, you won't be missing out. I'm Gary with Optimal Cruising, bringing you fresh cruise advice, money-saving hacks, and secret strategies the cruise lines don't advertise. Let's get started. One of my favorite cruise ports in the Mediterranean is Malaga, which is in Spain, on the southern coast in the Mediterranean. And this is a port city that's very walkable directly from your cruise ship. That's one of the attractions here, but it also has a lot of old world heritage, as well as Roman ruins and some very interesting modern things to see. I'm going to show you some of the main attractions that you can walk to directly from your cruise ship in Malaga, which makes this a very attractive port for a lot of people. From the cruise ship terminal, it's about a 20-minute walk to get to the first main attraction. However, it's a nice walk through a harbor area with a lot of beautiful sights to see, a lot of sailboats. You'll see some fancy yachts there, and it's quite interesting. And there's also a lot of vendors and restaurants along the way that are more upscale, so it doesn't feel like a Caribbean port with people barking at you the whole way. A lot of people end up in Malaga when the weather is nice and warm, and there's actually a nice beach right in front of the cruise ship. So you can walk about 10 to 15 minutes and be right on the sand, and it's a nice long stretch of sandy public beach. The water is beautiful there, and if you want to go for a swim and have a beach day, that's one option. As you can see from the map here, it's right off to the right of where the cruise ship docks. Whether you stop at the beach or not, you want to carry on to the Pompidou Center. This is a very interesting glass structure that's like a piece of artwork with rainbow-colored glass panes all around in a cube-like fashion. It's really a sight to see, a great place to take some photos and pictures. One of my favorite things to do in Malaga is to walk up this hilltop to the Gibralfaro viewpoint. It is a strenuous walk, so I'll caution, it's not for everybody. It takes maybe about 20-30 minutes to walk up there, but it's all uphill with switchback paths to make it a little easier, but some of it's pretty steep and it's not all wheelchair accessible. Some of it is steps that you have to get up over, but the views from here are amazing. You can get incredible views of the ocean, of the city, of the harbor. You can get views of your ship if you want to take pictures like that. And also there is an old Roman amphitheater down below from this viewpoint that you can see from above. It's a great vantage point. There's also an old castle up here that you can gain entry into if you want to look around, but that requires a fee and you have to buy tickets for that. However, you can walk up to this viewpoint for absolutely free, and it goes right around the castle. So you'll see the outside of the castle. If you want to go inside, that's an extra cost. And whether or not you decide to do the trek up to the castle hill, you definitely have to go to the historical center of Malaga. A lot of cruisers miss this because it is about a 20 to 30 minute walk again from the Pompidou Center, and it goes through some nice park areas. This walk is easy, it's all flat, but when you get to the historical center of the city, there's not really a specific place you need to go there. There are a lot of old squares and a lot of places that you'll enjoy seeing there. It's also very lively, cobblestone streets, a typical picturesque old European city, the way you would imagine it. Malaga is one of the best. Now I've mapped out here how I would do this walk because there's a beautiful park-lined path that you can go along that basically follows the harbor. And then once you exit that, I would take a stop off at the market. This is a typical kind of European market where they have fresh daily caught fish, fruits, vegetables, local products. You might find something interesting there, especially if you're looking for a souvenir. Here you're going to find something cheap and unique that you're not going to find at local shops. Walking through the historical center, you can find a lot of great eats like habugo, which is one of the famous sandwiches that they make in Spain, where they just slice ham directly from a leg of ham and they put it right on the sandwich. And it's like the most delicious prosciutto you've ever had, but it's not really prosciutto. It's like their specialty. Even if that doesn't sound good to you, there's a lot of interesting foods you can find here, places to eat, grab an ice cream, sit down and have a coffee and just enjoy. It's a beautiful city. If you'd like a copy of any of these maps, I've put a link in the description below where you can download them for yourself. My wife and I both agree that a Mediterranean cruise wouldn't be complete without a stop in Sicily, which is the island off the boot of Italy. Now, there's a couple different cities. There's actually 3 main cities there where cruise ships go. But one that people don't think about often is Catania. And Catania is located on the east side of the island, and it's convenient to the city. So it's easy to walk right into the city from where the cruise ship docks. But there are also some very interesting excursions you can do here. You'll probably only have time to do one thing or the other. So first I'm going to talk about the city. If you walk into the city, there's some key sites you want to see. There's University Square, which is a famous square there with some ancient buildings, and it's also got a lot of shops and restaurants and kind of gives you a nice Sicilian feel. If you're looking for local foods, Sicily has a lot of particular foods to their island. Arancini's is one of those. They have this fried dough pizza thing, which is kind of like a calzone, but not really. They have a lot of different foods there that you're not going to find in a lot of other places. And from University Square, you can make your way down to the Basilica Square. And here you're also going to find a famous statue or fountain with an elephant on top, which is really their symbol for the entire city. And if you're into ancient Roman or Greek ruins, they have both here, which is kind of interesting. So there's actually a Roman amphitheater that's been preserved, but it was built over some Greek ruins. So you see a mixture of both if you go inside here. It only costs about 6 to 8 euros to get in, and you can walk around for as long as you want. But it's amazing to see how this theater was preserved. They actually kind of built the city as it is in modern time around this Roman theater and preserved it. And if you don't want to pay to go in, there's some other Roman ruins which you can see for free right in the city center. As you can see here on the map, this is right in the middle of a major roadway. And then there's 2 very popular markets here in Catania, which you're probably going to want to go and experience. Now, I will warn you, they get very crowded. You'll be shoulder to shoulder bumping with locals. These are both local markets. They're not tourist markets. One is a fish market, and this is really close to where the cruise ship docks. You'll probably see it when you're walking off the pier. And they're going to have mostly local fresh fish, but they do also have some food that's made, cooked, and ready to eat. So if you want to try some specialties like fried sardines, this is the place to do it. And I've put on the map here how to get to the second market because it's a bit difficult to describe. It kind of goes along a couple different streets and spreads out a little bit, but it ends in this main cathedral square. And if you walk along the street towards here, you're going to see it. It's everywhere. And here you're going to find a lot of local crafts. So if you're looking again for souvenirs, a great place to find some Sicilian souvenirs. They don't have as much food at this marketplace, but they do have fruits and vegetables, and they do also have fish and meat that they're selling there. It's just raw produce raw product that you're going to take with you. So probably not for tourists, but you're going to see locals here. They love this place. You can also get fresh squeezed orange juice for about €1. It's an incredible deal. They have some other delicacies there that you might want to try out. It's definitely worth walking through. A word of caution though, don't go too late. Both of these markets are best hit early in the morning. They start closing down around 1 o'clock. So if you're coming late, it's not going to have the same feel. Try to get there around 9 in the morning if possible. Now, the other very popular excursion from Catania is, of course, Mount Etna, which is an active volcano. Last time I was there, we actually saw smoke coming out of it. So it does happen. What you want to do if you want to see Mount Etna, though, is probably book an excursion. Being that it's an active volcano, they don't let anybody go in there. You can start driving up to about 2,000 meters, but after that, it's closed. You need a private tour guide. You need to hire somebody who's certified to take you in there. The other thing you can do on your own is you can take the cable car up Mount Etna. Now that's kind of pricey. I believe it's about 50 euros per person, but it will give you the best views because you'll have aerial views of the craters. Now, technically, this next cruise port is in the Atlantic, but it's included in a lot of Mediterranean trips because it's right there off the coast of Portugal. It's actually part of the country, Portugal, and that's Punta Delgada. And I highly recommend this cruise port. This is actually one of my favorites, and I have two favorite things to do here. One can't be missed. Now, both of the things I'm going to tell you here are going to require a car. And there is a car rental place right where the cruise ship docks. I'm going to show you here on the map where it is. It's very easy to walk to. It's a 5-minute walk from when you get off the ship. But you need to book a reservation in advance because they take people in order of the time they book their reservation. So if your cruise ship's getting in at 8 o'clock, make a reservation for 9 a.m. and get there at 9 a.m. or 9:30 and get there before 9:30. Because people start lining up to rent cars who don't have reservations, they take all the reservation people first and they go in order. So it's very fair, but book in advance, you'll get out of there much more quickly. Now, my favorite thing to do here is called Ponta Delgada. And I'm sure I'm messing up the pronunciation, but I'm showing it to you here. So you can see it. You can put this in your GPS once you got your car. It's very easy to get to. It's about a 25-minute drive or so. The last maybe half mile of it's a little sketchy because you're actually driving switchback down a cliff, but it is a road and you can do it, and you'll see plenty of cars there at the bottom. So it's completely safe. But your first thought might be, should I be going here? Yes, you should. This is actually a thermal area in the ocean. I'm sure there are other places like this, but none that I've been to. You can actually get right into the water in the ocean. And I did this once in early May when the water is still quite cold, but it was warm in this spot. You're really in the environment here. It's not all built up. It still looks like old lava rock from when the volcano on the island overflowed hundreds of years ago. But people have put in some ladders. They've basically nailed in some string, some rope that you can help yourself to climb down on and to get out of the water. And it's very protected, so you don't really have to worry about the sea too much unless the tide is high. So before you go, you want to check the tides. The best time to get in here is when the tide is right in the middle. Not low tide, not high tide. Because at low tide, that water can get a little funky because it doesn't have the fresh ocean water coming in and refreshing it, because you're kind of in a little cove. And when the tide is low, that cove cuts off the ocean. When the tide is right in the middle, it's perfect. You're getting some fresh water in, but you got the warm water from below. When the tide's too high, it could be okay, but it can get a little rough if the waves are rough. So the best thing is to go right in the middle of low and high tide. The good news is you'll usually be at that cruise port for long enough to figure out the right time and plan your trip accordingly. But this is an awesome site. Even if you don't get in the water, it's just a great place to get some awesome pictures. And there are so many pools and coves along the coastline here. You can find little fish swimming in there. You can get little sea urchins crawling around. If you've got kids, especially older kids, this is a great place to explore a little bit, and I highly recommend it. The other thing I like to do here is drive over to Sete Cidades, which is a small little village on a lake that has formed in the crater of an old volcano. It's a great sight to see, and when you're driving the road here, you're gonna see some old volcanic craters, and you're gonna see some unique things. One time I was here driving through it, and the fog was settling in over. It was getting kind of creepy, but it's entirely doable. The roads here are paved and fairly safe. You can actually do both of these things if you want to make a whole day of it, but if you just want to do a half day, you could pick one or the other. Also in Sete Cidades, there are some nice restaurants, food shops, and things like that, so if you want to drive out there and have a snack, they also have a lot of picnic benches along the lake. It's kind of really interesting to see the lake here in a fallen crater where there used to be a volcano. And this next Italian Mediterranean port is a quiet little seaside town in the north. I hear a lot of cruisers talking about Genoa all the time because a lot of the major cruise ships go there. It's a big port city. They have a lot of docks there. They can handle a lot of ships and a lot of huge ships. But there's another quaint Italian city a few miles north called Savona. And if you can get a cruise itinerary that includes Savona, you're lucky because this place is really unique. For one thing, the cruise ship will pull right into the city almost. You can get pictures of the cruise ship right among the buildings. The way their port is situated, it's very unique and interesting, but they can't handle a lot of ships, so it's not on as many itineraries. From the minute you get off the ship here, you can see you're in a special place. You have to walk across this unique drawbridge, which isn't really called a drawbridge, I guess, because it swings to the side to open up for sailboats to go through the canal. Once you get into the city, it's kind of a typical small Italian city. There's not a lot of crowds here, so it's kind of nice. It's not as busy as a Genoa or Livorno, but when you do get there, you will get a lot of local eats. They have a lot of food stands here, or street food, versus just cafes, which make it kind of convenient if you're just walking along and want to pick something up to munch on. One nice thing about this city is that it's easy to walk. You can walk around the entire city in less than an hour. The main parts are not that hard to get to. You'll walk from the cruise terminal. You'll know you're at the end of the city because it's where the train station is, and then you can walk down one of the other streets back. But on your way back to the cruise ship, you definitely want to hit the Preamar Fortress. This is one of the special historical sites of Savona, and then the pathway from the fortress back to the ship goes along the bay and the ocean, and it's really a sight to see. You can see your cruise ship in the background, and it's a highly enjoyable but small cruise port that you don't have to spend a whole day doing something. You can kind of spend this day more relaxed, and that's why I really like it when it's included on a Mediterranean itinerary. Because if you have too many big city ports, you're going to be exhausted by the third or fourth day. And this last port you've probably never heard of, but if you can get this on your cruise itinerary, you'll have a gateway to a whole other world. But first, if you've found this video interesting so far, make sure you subscribe to our channel and get all of our cruising updates. There is a part of Italy that most tourists miss, and it is the Puglia region on the southeast side of Italy. But a lot of cruise ships come here to Brindisi because it's a very convenient and friendly port, especially if you're doing a Mediterranean cruise or a cruise that includes some Mediterranean and some Greek ports. Brindisi is actually the end of the famous Appian Way Road, which goes from Rome to Brindisi, was built back in 300 BC. And Brindisi was the port city that Rome would use to connect with the East. Today, Brindisi is a very small Italian southern city. Now, Brindisi has 2 cruise terminals. If you're lucky enough to be on a smaller cruise ship, you can end up right in the center of town, and you'll dock somewhere right here and be able to walk to the waterfront area and all the main attractions of the city. However, if you have a larger cruise ship, they're going to dock further away and they'll bus you into the city center. Some people come to Brindisi not really even to see Brindisi, because Brindisi is another older Italian city. It has some nice, quaint, cute characteristics, but it's very small and you're not going to spend more than an hour walking around there. So what a lot of people do is use Brindisi as a starting point to see some of the famous old southern Italian cities, which are all within an hour to an hour and a half away. And you can get a bus from your cruise terminal directly to one of these spots and explore some ancient cities that most people never see in their entire lifetime. Here you have Bello, which is one of the more popular destinations to go to from your cruise ship when coming to Brindisi. Bello is a city of these trulli houses, which are very unique. If you're spending a lot of time in Italy, you can actually go here and they have hotels and you can stay in one of these. But it's really cool to walk inside. Now they've turned a lot of them into shops and tourist places, but you can still walk in there and you still get the experience of what this village used to be like. All the homes were made in this particular way here, and it's really an incredible sight to see. This is a more touristy area, so you're going to have a lot of restaurants and tourist shops, and you're going to see a lot of people here whenever you go. If you want to skip the crowds, you can take a slight detour to Ostuni, which is only about 30 minutes from Brindisi. You can also catch a bus from your cruise ship here. They have excursions here, but you don't really need a full-blown excursion. You just need to get here on the bus and then you walk it. You walk around. Now, this is a city kind of built on a hilltop. So you're walking along and you can get great views of the countryside and also the sea from on top of Ostuni. And they have some really cool features of how this city was built into the side of a mountain. It's kind of something that you don't see it, you kind of can't even imagine what it looks like. But my absolute favorite place to get to from Brindisi is Matera. And this is actually on a mountainside in the middle of Italy. So you basically going to have to take about an hour and a half bus ride to get here. I highly recommend if you're going to do this, just book an excursion. They'll take you here, they'll give you a little tour, and then they'll give you some time to walk around on your own, which is definitely worth it. This place was a city built out of caves, back from the time when people lived in caves, and they still have some of those old cave homes preserved. The city is so unique that Mel Gibson used it when filming Passion of the Christ. There have been other movies filmed here as well. The terrain is so unique, you just have to see it to believe it, and the history, you can basically feel it here. You'll only be able to do one of these day trips during your port stop in Brindisi. It is an all-day excursion because of the travel time, and you're going to want time to walk around, look around, and maybe even eat some local food while you're there. But still, if you don't want a big adventure, Brindisi is worth it just walking around. Brindisi has some very unique coastline of its own. And you can get on a tourist bus. I know, it's kind of funny. They have these little tourist choo-choo train buses. They'll drive you around the entire city, but give you some great views of the coast. You can actually see where old lava flows have gone into the water, and they're still there along this Italian coastline. They haven't been destroyed. They haven't been built upon, because this is a smaller city where a lot of the old feeling has been preserved. There's also a lot of walking you can do here if you want to get a little exercise, or if you don't, you can stay along the waterfront, which is more touristy, but still very beautiful and has a very strong Italian feel to it. So now that you know about some of these unique Mediterranean ports of call, there are a couple mistakes that cruisers often make when cruising in the Mediterranean. I'll tell you how to avoid those right here.